We're starting a little bit old school this evening. As much as I enjoy the future funk, sometimes it can outstay its welcome, so we're going back to the coffee house jazz with scintillating sounds that will make you go, that would go very well with a nice latte. And I do realize I sound like I'm going into Shatner mode. Ray done. We must go to the Enterprise and get Jim Cornette to be acting stupid. And then it's like Raiden like doing his best Spock. Captain, you know this is illogical. You know we have tried multiple times to do this before. So who's an engineer? Well, yes, these engines won't take too much more, Captain. And there's only like so much for me being Picard. A little bit of humour there for the evening, folks. Sean Retro says hi. Hi to Sean.
Hello.
Did get the second window set up. Excellent. So, first topic of the evening. This concerns 007.
Oh?
Hang on. We've been given an update with regards to Daniel Craig's replacement. But for the rest of us that like to use Jedi mind tricks, but there was no Daniel Craig. Barbara Broccoli recently revealed that the next film in the Bond franchise won't be coming out anytime soon. Craig ended his 15-year stint as the iconic super spy in No Time to Die. The film turned out to be a huge hit, especially with a world crisis raging across the globe, even earned 3 Academy Award nominations. No Time to Die gave Craig's Bond a poignant and explosive farewell that was mostly well received by fans. But now that Craig has departed that franchise... Yes! 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 How will this be made any more perfect? Oh... Let's see, Jennifer Connelly says, here's my number. Results!
And some decent writers.
Whoa. Let's not go into Asylum levels of science fiction here, you know. Modern Hollywood, you know, that's very... Yeah, on a minor note, the Asylum, what you smoking so you can pass it around to the rest of us, they've come up with Titanic 3/6s, where a new ship goes over the site of the original sinking of the Titanic, and the original crew and passengers come back to life and take over the new ship.
So,
please tell me they're zombies.
ghosts.
But yeah, that's the, you know, the premise for that movie, and because it's an Asylum, look, I didn't give them a chance with Titanic 2. I'm not about to give them a chance with that. And Bruce Davis, I appreciate you have to go out and earn a paycheck, but you were Senator Kelly. You were Dr. Charles Grayman from Knight Rider SG. Sir, you have standards. Why would you sink that low? I mean, I can understand Paul Feig going to the Asylum, because they're practically made for each other, but that's a story unto itself. It'd be like... Alright. It'd be like, say, Raiden living his dream, going to play for the Chicago Bulls, and he's given Jordan's legendary number 23. And then 3 or 4 seasons down the line, they say, you're going to go play for the New York Knicks. Like, say what now? Because I don't know how Raiden is with certain basketball teams, but certain teams have rivalries. I mean, that'd be like Steven being told, oh, you're going to play Doctor Who for 2 years, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years down the line, you get told you're playing a red shirt on Star Trek, and you're like, oh, fuck.
I wouldn't mind either anyway.
Do you notice in Star Trek Into Darkness, when Chekhov told you're wearing an engineer red shirt, it's like, oh shit. I felt like that was a good in-joke, but anyway. But now that Craig has departed, the question arises, who will be the next James Bond? So far, there's been no word on who next will be assigned the 007 title, and No Time to Die's ending has certainly complicated the matter. Barbara Broccoli has assured that Bond will return, because said so at the end of the credits. How? No one knows. As far as we can expect, the next Bond film, Broccoli answered that question recently. While attending the opening night of Craig and Ruth Negga's, okay, that's just how their last name is spelled, Negga. That's going to look real awkward to some people. Play Macbeth on Broadway. Broccoli told Variety it's going to take some time before Craig's replacement is announced. It's a big decision, it's not just a casting role, it's about a whole rethink about where we're going. I'm just here celebrating one of the greatest actors on the planet, Daniel Craig. Really? Really? You know it's sad. When George Lazenby actually looks good in comparison to him.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't talk about that movie. Broccoli is right about the rethinking part, as No Time to Die killed off the iconic character, but after the credits rolled, Bond will return. Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, the two greatest, Roger Moore, and all the actors who have previously played Bond have played the same person. That makes it difficult to explain the character's death in No Time to Die. A reboot with an entirely new cast is the only option that makes sense right now for the franchise. If you do a reboot, you keep the current Ms. Moneypenny. I thought she was alright.
Yeah.
And you keep the guy who played Q. Because remember when they did the reboot going after...
Die Another Day?
Hang on. What was the last one with Brosnan?
Die Another Day.
Thank you. Yeah, I was blanking there for a minute. I mean, they went from Die Another Day to Casino Royale. Everybody was recast except Dame Judi Dench. You couldn't have anyone as M but her at that time. And as far as I'm concerned, keep Ralph Fiennes, keep the actor who played Q, and keep the actress who played Moneypenny, because they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
While No Time to Die was an improvement over its disappointing predecessor, Spectre, I'm indifferent about Spectre.
I liked Spectre.
I felt Q was given a lot more material to work with. And to be fair, if the Bond story had ended there, with Craig's iteration, I think that would have been the perfect closure, because he rode off into the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
It still didn't resonate with critics or audiences, yes, but then again, current critics think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a terrible movie, yet the audience stuck their middle fingers up and said, no, it's a good movie, and it's just made over $320 million, so go jump in a lake. This and hit-and-miss patterns and the repetitive themes of the Bond films could make it difficult for them to stand apart from the competition in the future. Hopefully the makers have something unique and fresh in store for the franchise, and if you're wondering why I'm talking fast, I am currently drinking Monster. Monster, unleash the hidden creature in you. Raiden's like, oh, you don't want that? No.
You really don't.
Or to quote Big Mouth, brings out the monster in you.
Good.
Someone's watched Big Mouth. Nice. Not the only one anymore.
Does anybody want to see my inner monster? Only you're a monster unto yourself. That's enough.
No, just start another hype train and it'll be fine.
So,
Get him to level 3.
oh good lord, could you imagine Ric Flair on Monster?
No.
No, please, no.
Oh, dude, that's giving him too much credit.
Yeah.
I'll go all night long. On 4 of those, you probably will. Oh, by the way, people, if some people claim that they can drink 6 cans of Monsters in a day, no, you can't. Physically and biologically impossible. That'd be like trying to give like 6 sums of money to Raiden. Please like and rate Ghostbusters 2016. Bruh, you could pay me all the money in the world. Ain't happening. And he's nodding like,
Yep.
Broccoli has rejected any radical changes like TV shows or a female version of Bond. I wouldn't be against a TV show, because with a TV show, you've got more time for character development to breathe. So, I mean, I'm not airing my throat there. I'm not against the idea of a female-inspired version of James Bond, because then it's inspired by the character, but it's not the character. It's something else. So I got no problem with that. And if she was at least 15 years younger, get Kate Winslet. She would have owned that role. I think it'd be a man, because I don't think a woman should play James Bond. Well, we've been through that. I believe in making characters for women and not just having women play men's roles. Although, and this is something even Razorfist talked about when they changed the character in the judge in Jessica Jones from a male to female. This occasion, it actually worked, because you got the right actress to play possibly one of the biggest assholes in that story. So I'm not against it. I'm not against characters having their genders changed if it suits the story and it's not being done for the sake of, you know, like when they made Pidge female in Ultron. You know, if you do it creatively to where it works for the character, then I don't have a problem. And that's something Wynn would agree with, because she was the one who brought it up. I don't think there are enough great roles for women, and I think it's very important that we make movies for women about women. He should be British, so British can be any ethnicity, race, so yeah. This does open the door for Idris Elba to take up the 007 mantle, so I can imagine 00 Idris and 00 Elba being possible jokes and memes, and Wynn will be gushing because she has a thing for Mr. Elba, but then again, why not? Great guy.
Oh, great. Now I'm just getting an image of Knuckles as a secret agent.
00 Echidna, or 00 Nux, whichever. Unfortunately, the Louvre star is turning 50 this year. Unless they are aiming for an extremely unconventional take on the character, Elba is unlikely to take over as Bond, but they had Peter Capaldi take over, and he was very distinguished compared to his predecessors, so, you know.
As the Doctor.
Yeah. Elba, right. Other top favourites for the role include Tom Hardy, possible, Henry Cavill. Based on looks and the way he talks normally, I can see it happening. Richard Madden, I have no idea who he is. Regé-Jean Page, James Norton, and Jamie Dornan. MGM has reportedly begun the search for the next James Bond, so it's only a matter of time before we learn of Craig's successor. Hopefully it will happen sooner rather than later. Based on that list, there's only 2 of them that I would say, yeah, those would be great contenders, but ultimately I think what they ought to consider... Yeah, messages are showing up, Dan, it's just that if I'm focusing on one window, I'm not able to go back and forth like that. Yeah, the messages are showing up. It's not like last week where it was just emotes only, because in Steve's defense, he had been warned about something similar happening on Oni's channel, so he was just trying to make sure certain spammers didn't show up in the works. So
My fault.
yeah. No, trust me, Dan, your messages are showing up, so don't worry. Based upon the list, if I had to go with anybody, I would probably say Henry Cavill, because he, in terms of the way he carries himself, or the way he speaks, his body language, his mannerisms, and his suaveness, I would say we'd have ourselves a modern day version of Pierce Brosnan. Simply because he's got that wit, and we know he's in phenomenal shape. I mean, anytime he put on the cape for Superman, you know, his trainers trained him within an inch of his life. Because you see him normally, and then you see how he is in Man of Steel. He is built like a brick. Basically, he has a physique that men half his age and twice his age would be like, I would kill for that. Kind of like how women would love to have Gal Gadot's physique for Wonder Woman, where it's, you know, she's still very feminine looking, but knock her wine over, oh, heads will roll. Again, based on the info, I'm gonna have to go with Cavill. He seems like the most logical choice, and Tom Hardy, yeah, we know he can do the serious and we can do the comedic, but as Bond, I don't know. I'd have to see test footage, but and from that to our own 00 Jedi Knight, Agent Walker, who would you pick as the next 007 out of that list, or would you prefer to go the Christopher Reeve route and pick somebody unknown?
I would say pick somebody unknown, because again, if you're gonna pick a Bond, you gotta have someone that's like gonna slip into the role and somebody that no one's gonna picture as James Bond. Because if you pick like the standard, oh, we're just gonna see this person's face on there, we're not gonna see the performance, so it'll be a little distracting. So I say go with an unknown and be done with it. There's no stake in it for me, but it's like, go with an unknown, honestly. They'll listen to me, so.
Yeah, but you tend to say a lot of things that get people to cock their eyebrows and think, okay, you've said something very thought-provoking there. I will take this into consideration. And then only shows up, I want whiskey! Yes, honey, we know. And to our own suave secret agent, Cyber-Raiden, what do you think?
Raiden.
He's probably gone to sleep again.
Hope he's okay.
Should be. Yo, Raiden, Tatiana Ali's here. Well, I've done all I can. 00 Jedi. Until we get Agent Raiden's thoughts, your 2 cents on the matter.
I'd say go with an unknown. Just as long as the writing that they coupled with is good, got a good, decent script, it should be okay. But I think it's better to get new blood into Hollywood, if you ask me, because it's better to go with somebody unknown and lesser known, rather than one of the big Hollywood mainstays who might mess it up.
I feel ya. Alright. Until we can, get word back from Raiden, we'll press on with a couple more talk. It's possible, Sean, because he does tend to work on a Sunday, and the man works hard, so
And Dan's talking about the revelation that was announced today about the 14th Doctor actor.
Yup.
Funny you mention.
Aha.
Okay, here we go. Doctor Who. I'm not sure how you pronounce his first name.
Nkuti?
Okay, Nkuti Gatwa makes first public comments after being cast as the 14th Doctor. The BBC announced sex education star Nkuti Gatwa will replace Jodie Whittaker as the star of Doctor Who in the upcoming 60th anniversary season. This news comes ahead of today's TV BAFTAs, which has Gottwald nominated for Best Male Performance in a Comedy Program for his role in Sex Education. Returning Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies accompanied Gottwald on the evening's red carpet. There they reveal they've been keeping the casting new under wraps since February. Gottwald says he's happy to have the news out in the open since it means he doesn't have to not try to blurt it out anymore. It's been emotional. I was just saying, I woke up crying and then I started dancing. I'm glad it's finally out and I don't have to keep it a secret anymore because I'm terrible at that. In the press release announcing the news, Gottwald said there aren't quite the words to describe how I'm feeling. A mix of deeply honoured, beyond excited, and of course a little bit scared. This role and show means so much to so many around the world, including myself, and each one of my incredibly talented predecessors has handled that unique responsibility and privilege with the utmost care. I will endeavour my utmost to do the same. Davies is almost as iconic as the Doctor himself, and being able to work with him is a dream come true. His writing is dynamic, exciting, incredibly intelligent, and fizzing with danger. An actor's metaphorical playground. The entire team have been so welcoming and truly given their hearts to the show, and so much as it's daunting. I'm aware I'm joining a really supportive family. Unlike the Doctor, I may only have one heart, but I'm going to give all to the show. Davies added, the future is here and Unkutty. Sometimes talent walks through the door and it's so bright, bold and brilliant. I just stand back in awe and thank my lucky stars. Unkutty dazzled us, seized hold of the Doctor and owned those TARDIS keys in seconds. It's an honour to work with him and a hoot. I can't wait to get started. I'm sure you're dying to know more, but we're rationing ourselves for now, and with the wonderful Jodie's epic finale yet to come, I promise you 2023 will be spectacular. So it's not happening until next year. Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor Who is currently between specials as it awaits the BBC centenary. Joy. Doctor Who is streaming on HBO Max. You can get caught up with our Doctor Who streaming guide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Raiden. You alright, buddy? Okay, it wasn't Raiden. Let's see. It's another first because, well, it's the first black actor to play the role. At the end of the day, as long as he puts in the great dramatic acting, and in some cases with David Tennant it was overacting. I keep telling people he's Britain's answer to Jim Carrey. Sean says he's behind a season of Doctor Who. I haven't watched anything of Doctor Who since the werewolf episode with Queen Victoria, and yes, that was quite a while ago.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I haven't watched anything since Capaldi ended his run. Not because I don't have anything against Jodie Whittaker, it's just I don't have access to BBC. I don't have cable anymore.
Oh, yeah. I've not seen any of the of Gatwa's work, but you know, Davies chose him for a reason, and
Yeah.
he's very specific with what he's looking for in successors, because you look at Tennant, you look at Smith, you look at Capaldi, he chooses them for a reason, because he it's like a little twinkle in someone's eyes, like you see something, it's like there's that little that X factor, the intangible. You can't put it into words, but you feel it. You know, when somebody has that charisma that just is able to, I know we said it so multiple times, you look at RDJ as Tony Stark. Could you imagine anybody else playing that role the way RDJ did it?
Not really.
There you are, dude. Did you go to sleep again?
Well, okay. Here's how it went down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work was well. Monty up. Went to get some stuff, to restock. And I kind of spent my day just restocking my food, blah 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 blah, all that time. So just like
Okay.
chilling, food, blah, chilling, and all there. So okay, for anyone there who's not hearing me, sorry guys, I'm kind of a little in and out, but I'm still here, people.
Alrighty. Um, it's as Win has said so many times, the proof in the pudding will be in the eating. At some stage next year, whenever the new episode comes out, I'll try to look for, say, a few minutes of footage just to see how he performs, because Jodie Whittaker's portrayal, it's been divisive.
It's the main problem, if I may interject.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the writing that has been the main downfalls. Some of the episodes, just script wise, just haven't had the big punch that they've had in the past.
I don't really have a huge knowledge of Whittaker's acting resume, but whenever I have seen her as the Doctor, I can see that same eccentricity that Tennant have. You know, Matt Smith's was a little bit more reserved and controlled, because I did notice between the two there is the eccentricity that's still there, but if Tennant's version was like a live action cartoon character, Smith's he's just a little bit more reserved. You know, it's alright. If Tennant is Jim Carrey on Two Cans of Monsters, Smith's is like sipping back very calmly a cup of Earl Grey. You know, he's a little bit more distinguished and a little bit more controlled. Whittaker, again, having not seen enough material, I will have to take your word for it that that's the writing, but I think it's also been because some fans were not so pleased that the Doctor was played by a woman. But here's the thing that they've always had in the lore: a Time Lord can shapeshift into anything or anyone that they want when they regenerate, so why not a woman? I'll just have to wait and see, because up until yesterday I didn't even know of Nkuti's existence, and but there's sex education series. Like, I don't watch regular TV, I just watch stuff from the 80s and 90s and the occasional good stuff, like Chicago Med, available now on Netflix. Steve, you're the resident Whovian. Your thoughts on his casting?
Well, it's good that they're going with a younger actor to play the Doctor. As I've said before, just like with James Bond, it mainly comes down to the writing.
Yeah.
When Matt Smith was the 11th Doctor, Russell T Davies had already stepped down at that point as head writer for the show, and Stephen Moffat took over.
And from what I hear, they did not take too well to it.
With Matt Smith, his run I found very enjoyable, but with Capaldi, it just felt more of the same. Although with the main problem was he didn't know how to write finale so much. I mean, by the time it comes to the third finale with Matt Smith, and they end up just the universe is on the point of collapse for a third time, it just felt it just felt like he didn't know how to write himself out of a corner. And the 12th Doctor's bit with Peter Capaldi, it had so many unresolved plot threads that it just felt like, when are you gonna do this? When are you gonna revisit those and just clear those up? Because some plot threads just ended up unfinished and left ended. And the 13th Doctor with the whole Timeless Child mystery, that confused a lot of fans.
The point of anger, actually.
Yeah, because although I remember hearing somewhere that Russell T Davies was not against the idea in adding bits to the continuity and such, because we still don't know a lot about Gallifrey, even though we know that Gallifreyans are mostly Time Lords. We still didn't know how they operated. There were ideas to tackle that in the past, but they were shelved mostly because Doctor Who ended up going into cancellation. And continuity within outside media itself is a bit higgledy-piggledy here and there. Because you don't know whether some books that were either comics or written books actually are part of the continuity. It's all a bit of a mess there.
I feel you.
That and again, how many times they've blown up the universe and just stitched it back together, and certain events are either not remembered or never happened at all. It can lead to somebody getting a bit confused from the outside. But Russell T Davies was the guy who brought Doctor Who back in the first place, so with him supporting this new actor, I'm fully behind it.
Okay. Sean's just said, will this Doctor like fish fingers and custard? That sounds revolting.
Actually, that was a thing that in the first episode after Matt Smith regenerated at the 11th hour, he was like trying to find foods that he'd liked, and they ended up settling on fish fingers and custard when he first met Amelia Pond.
Yeah.
I've dunked chips into custard before, but that was more of a happy accident than anything.
And believe it or not, there were videos of people immediately after the episode that were literally trying that.
At what?
Fish fingers and custard.
Actually dipping fish fingers into custard.
Yeah, and eating them.
Eggs. Of course, y'all eating habits, so I mean, I get why you guys question our eating habits, but you know, different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm.
Madam President, what do you make of the casting?
I think it's pretty cool. Like again, the fact that they went with casting an African American gentleman, which is cool, because the Doctor can look like whatever the heck he wants. So why not go with this? And plus, again, they're going with the route that I said about James Bond, cast an unknown, because I've never seen Sex Education, so I wouldn't know who he is. So this will be interesting for me once we see that regeneration happen, see what he brings to the table acting wise, because again, each Doctor has their own different flavor.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see what he brings to the table, and I want to see how they're gonna basically have Jodie Whittaker's Doctor regenerate, because we don't know what's gonna happen with that, because all we knew that she was gonna regenerate into someone else. So
yeah, they've teased that for the next special coming up in autumn, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Like, I'm looking forward to it, just to see what he brings to the table. Because again, giving actors of color a chance to play these roles is actually really cheers me up when there's lots of gloomy, dark news. It's nice to hear that something like this happens. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I hope he does a good job. So I'm sure he will.
The only thing I know about the series Sex Education is that Gillian Anderson plays. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this. She plays a sex therapist to a teenage son, but she doesn't have a brain-to-mouth filter. And she says things in front of his friends that's like, Mom! Draw your own conclusions on that one.
Thanks.
Raiden, what do you make of Gatwa's casting?
Hey, listen, for a guy who's never been into the Doctor Who series, the fact that they got someone that's American, hey, good on them. So, all there is to it. So, I believe he'll do well. You know, or will he face backlash? Of course, of course. I mean, for every good, there's every bad. But you know, it's what it is. People are just miserable doing whatever they want to do or what. But all in all, congratulations to the guy. I know he'll do well. I've heard him before, but you know, on the occasion, I check out an episode or two, so he does, and I feel like he will do well. Move up.
All right.
Mm.
And,
Well, Sean, sorry.
And how to make Madam President go fangirl squealing in 3, 2. No, take it a bit.
I don't hear no scream.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
Okay, that'll subside. All right.
And he looks good as bats.
Oh my.
Oh, there we go.
Me look.
Not
bad,
bad.
I guess.
Hmm.
Looks a little Michael Keaton-ish.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hmm.
There's a new Gotham-based series coming to the CW. I thought the CW was going away. Which means there's room for a new Batman. This series is called Gotham Knights, no relation to the video game. Which is ironically the same title as an upcoming DC Comics video game.
Oh Lord
Knights.
Oh
Jesus.
my God.
Gotham Knights, the series, will be very different from the game other than one key detail. Batman is dead. But that doesn't mean that this is permanent. The series has already cast one Supernatural alum with Misha Collins playing Harvey Dent Two-Face. And it seems another actor from that series wants to join the show. Jensen Ackles recently revealed they would love to join the series as their Bruce Wayne Batman. And that's pretty fitting as the actor who has previously voiced the character in the recent Batman films, The Long Halloween Part 1 and 2, and they're awesome. One
Yeah, they
Instagram artist has an idea of how the actor could look in the role, and they recently revealed their interpretation of Ackles as Batman. An Instagram artist that goes by the handle of Clements.Inc. revealed how they think Jensen Ackles could look as Batman, and the costume is pretty awesome per the CW standards. The costume is all black and has a big bat symbol similar to Affleck's in Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League, but the cowl is to die for. You can check out the fan art as Batman below. Yeah, and to be fair, he's at the right age to play Bruce now, because dependent on what continuity you're looking at, from comics, TV, animated shows to movies, Batman can be anything from mid to late 20s to early to mid 40s. And in some cases, with Return of the Dark Knight, he's in his mid 50s, but can still kick ass. The most recent version of Batman was played by Robert Pattinson, and it definitely made waves. The film was 3 hours long, and Matt Reeves made his version of Gotham City as dark as you would imagine the location was supposed to be. One key moment in The Batman is at the beginning of the film, where Batman is beating up a group of thugs in face paint and utters the phrase, "I'm vengeance." Fans would notice the phrase is very different than Christian Bale or Michael Keaton using the infamous I'm Batman line, and it turns out that's what Reeves wanted. In a new interview, the director explains why this film used I'm Vengeance as opposed to I'm Batman. To me, the arc from the beginning was when I was thinking of the story moves from a place of him declaring himself, which does not come from some of the comics and from the animated series. This notion that he says no, I'm Batman, which is obviously the key Keaton line in the Burton movie, but I'm Vengeance. And this was coming from his personal rage and this primal feeling that he had. That's just really flailing and trying to make sense of his life, and he's not really self-aware. That's one of the things too. In the music and the sounds of that scene, it kind of builds in a way that you can feel the rage and the heart pounding and pounding, and then you can feel the sound intent and the music at the end of that scene. Even visually, is at the sense of the adrenaline starting finally to ebb. The Batman stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, how you doing? Paul Dano as Edward Nashton, the Riddler. By the way, Paul Dano, you're too convincing. Just saying. Jeffrey Wright.
Oh man.
Oh,
Jeffrey Wright as Gotham PD's James Gordon. He was amazing. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. He enjoyed that way too much. Peter Sarsgaard.
Oh man, breakout role.
Peter Sarsgaard as Gotham DA Gil Colson, and Jamie Lawson as mayoral candidate Bella Rail. I actually liked her. She was alright. And Andy Serkis as Alfred. He did better in that role than I thought he would. And Colin Farrell as the Penguin. What do you think of the fan art?
Unrecognizable.
What do you think of the fan art? Would you like to see Jensen Ackles as Batman? Hell yeah! Let us know in our thoughts below. First of all, Clements.Inc. You have a massive talent. You should be picked up professionally. And yeah, for Gotham Knights, I want to see I want to see Ackles, have a moment where he'll just look up at the sky, see the bat symbol before the moonlight, go, time to go to work. So, yep, all down for that. Madam President, is Mr. Ackles someone you would like to see protecting Gotham City in the future?
Yeah, actually, that does sound interesting. I mean, he's already playing, he's gonna be playing Soldier Boy in the new season of The Boys, so it's like, that's...
Oh!
He's playing a superhero, so... I can see him playing Batman. I mean, didn't he voice him in the Long Halloween animated movie? I think so, and he did fine, so I can see him playing Bruce, or Batman, so I can see him do it. But again, it's like, I don't want him to stack on superhero roles too much, because again, if he plays Soldier Boy and then he goes to play Batman, it's like, that's too much. That's too much too soon. So, if it's a wait and see kind of thing, maybe I can see that happening. But for now, let's hold off on that for now. But again, I can see him playing Batman.
To our own Dark Knight, Sir Stephen, your thoughts?
Yeah, very talented artist there, and I'm open to him playing Batman.
What does Commissioner Raiden have to say?
Okay, for what it's worth, I don't know. Kind of getting burned out with CW's superhero shows.
Fair enough.
Even though I did hear Batman got canceled, so that's a win for everybody. But Jensen Ackles, Batman, it would be cool, but I say hold off on that for a bit since, I don't know, other stuff going on. But for what it's worth, I do like the fan art. It's different. It's simple. Like I said, if you look at the fan art itself, he does look a lot like Michael Keaton a little bit, especially with I don't know. You ever see when Michael Keaton has those pouty lips?
Yeah.
Especially when he's Batman. That's what I see it from.
Well, that's all you ever see of the actor when they're in the cape and cowl. All you see is the eyes and the the lips and the jawline.
Right.
Um.
Yeah, as I've stated, I think it looks like a good concept, but since it's CW, it is okay to be weary. It was freaking Flash.
You know, it's going to become a little bit out there, but it would have been interesting to see Kelly Rowland in one of these roles. Like, I don't know if they had like a latest addition to the Bat family, and she's like, I don't know, like another version of Batgirl, or who's to say, because there's been multiple Robins, who's to say that there can't be multiple Batgirls? What if she was passed the baton and, she happened to be a friend of Barbara Gordon's, and this is, her during her Oracle years? What if she just happens to say, I know someone that could use your talents, and Bruce just introduces her to the Batgirl suit? That'd be interesting. Alright, got that one done. We're about to go into one of those, oh, we could have told you that years ago kind of setting.
Oh boy.
Green Lantern director has no interest in another superhero and shouldn't have made the Ryan Reynolds movie. Yep, we've been telling you that for 11 years.
Oh god, I can't laugh too hard because it hurts right now.
Ouch.
Green Lantern was a flop of tremendous proportions. The film was both a critical and financial failure, a total of $219 million at the box office. Crying out loud, even the 2003 Hulk did better money than that.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. Martin Campbell was coming off the success of the massively successful Casino Royale. Wait, that was 5 years in between, so what was he doing for 5 years?
I don't know.
So Green Lantern looked really good on paper. Campbell hasn't said much about the fare of the film, but he's previously stated that he was done with the superhero genre. Now the director is restating those words and has also revealed that he regrets making the film with Ryan Reynolds. No, I'm not good at superhero movies. Green Lantern, people didn't like that movie, and frankly, I shouldn't have done it. I did it because I've never done one. You just work as hard on the movies that really are not as successful as you do on the ones that are. I think there are people better qualified than me to do a superhero movie. Campbell isn't the only person from the production of Green Lantern that hates the film. By now it's no secret that Ryan Reynolds has a certain disdain for the DC Comics movie. Oh really? What gave you that idea? Just make sure the suit's not green or animated.
Or animated.
The actor has previously live tweeted the movie and let his hate run rampant, and he's even included jokes about in the film in his second Deadpool movie. Previously, Reynolds discussed how the film introduced him to his wife Blake Lively, lucky son of a, and like he couldn't help but throw shade at Green Lantern. I met Blake on the darkest crease in the anus of the universe called Oh, Ryan! What the hell? I wonder if that's not Ryan and that's Deadpool, writing that out. Told hosts Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes. And we are friends and buddies, and then about a year and a half later, we actually went out on a double date, but we were dating separate people. We hung out and kind of, we always kept in touch, but sort of casually. And then next thing you know, she was going to Boston, I was going to Boston, so I was like, all right with you. We got on the train and rode together, and then I was just begging her to sleep with me. Subtle.
Sorry.
That's true. Again.
That is definitely Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Campbell directed the film based on the script from Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Michael Green. The film starred Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Taika Waititi, Angela Bassett, love that woman, Peter Sarsgaard, Tim Robbins and Mark Strong as the villainous Sinestro. The film is available for digital download and for streaming via HBO Max, and is also available on DVD and Blu-ray. But why, oh why, you would even want to watch it after you saw it the first time? What do you think about Green Lantern? Oh, you don't want to know what I think.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, it's like only playing GTA Defective Edition again.
Oh no.
Or Mighty Wings. Okay. Take the snark and the cynicism out of it. I'm glad the guy's being humble enough to say that he's no good at that particular genre and it should have been made by someone else, so I'll give him kudos for that. But he's saying stuff that we kind of knew a decade ago. I mean, I think you can tell a good story of Green Lantern. You just, first of all, don't make the suit animated. I mean, alright, most superhero suits are made to be animated. I mean, just look at half of the cast in Infinity War and Endgame, especially with, you know, the Iron Man suit, Spidey's, Iron Spider, but Green Lantern, like, you couldn't get something similar made for how they did Man of Steel. Granted, Green Lantern was 2 years before, but you get the point. I mean, what I would really like to see, I'd love to see a live-action version of Jon Stewart, because I think if you can find the right script and you find the right actor, and ironically, I think it should be by the guy who plays Luke Cage, because I can see him as Jon Stewart, because Stewart's got this very stoic, noble quality about him, and the actor who plays Cage, it's a perfect fit. I know Tyrese has wanted to play Jon Stewart, but I don't know. Tyrese doesn't really play characters that has this stoic quality, because in the Fast franchise and Transformers, he's the mouth. Whether he wants to admit this or not, you know, just that's the mold he fits. But I don't know. I mean, Reynolds, you know, he took the mick out of himself for all these years with, you know, with stuff that he has said about Lantern, because with Crisis you have opportunity, and, you know, he chose to have a sense of humor about it. That's all I really have to say. Steve, your 2 cents on this.
Not very nonchalant about it. I mean, it wasn't the best choice to follow suit with Marvel, and they should have done a lot more planning before making that movie. Yeah. Not really got much to say on it apart from that.
Okay, Madam President, what do you have to say?
I mean, the fact that he was willing to admit, yeah, I'm never doing another superhero role because Green Lantern sucked. I'm like, I think the phrase "duh" comes to mind. Again, it's like it was technically not his fault. It's like the way the script was mapped out. It's like, okay, to some degree, he's not completely blameless, because again, a sinking ship doesn't go down without its captain, and quite frankly, a director of a film is technically the captain of a ship. So, I get that the whole thing, like the star is the captain. No, he's just the puppet. He's just the boy you make wear the clothes and do the dancing. I'm being facetious here, but still,
of course.
But again, at least he admitted it. I will admit that. But again, that movie was hot garbage, and we all know it was hot garbage. Mm-hmm. And Ryan Reynolds has the license to talk as much crap about it as he already does. So he's completely justified. And let's be honest. Would any of us be willing to sit down and watch Green Lantern? Let's be 100% honest.
If I was bored.
Not particularly.
No, well, then there we go. That's consensus for you. But again, and honestly, when it comes to like any kind of like anything Green Lantern, can we at least get them to try? Because quite frankly, the DCEU is kind of on its last legs. I hate to say that, but it's like, yeah, I have no hope for it. Let's be honest. Even though some movies were good, it's just, yeah.
Although we did get the first ever live action meeting between Bats and Soups, but I felt like that script could have been refined to where we got to the fight quicker. What would I know?
Get on with it!
To our own Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern, what's your take on this? Raiden. Raiden, your thoughts?
I feel like if anything, what was the topic again?
The fact the Green Lantern director said that he shouldn't have made the movie and he's no good at superhero movies.
Oh, well, hello there, Captain Obvious. Of course. Jesus Christ, the CGI was trash. I will say one of my favorites was Kilowog. Aside from the Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Kilowog has always been my favorite Green Lantern. So I was really happy to see him being portrayed really well. Also, Kevin Michael Richardson voiced him, so that's always a great plus, I think.
Well, he's one of the best for a reason.
Yeah. Also, for people who's watched Young Justice Phantoms, you'll be pleased to know that last, I think, not last episode, the episode before the episode that came out last week, you do see a continuation of Green Lantern the animated series, and a fan favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was shocked to see him there, but I was happy. But all in all, happy to see him again.
I think the Green Lantern, I mean, aside from Jon Stewart, because I just like the noble quality, particularly with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, with the way he was portrayed. I liked the Green Lantern that was used in Justice League versus the Fatal Five. I really liked her character, and a lot of people, that movie actually got a lot of praise for the way that people with mental disorders were represented, in the sense of, it was actually talked about as being said, talking about this is actually a good thing rather than mocking people. They actually got them portrayed in a very good light.
Same thing for the last couple of episodes for Young Justice Phantoms. I mean, they covered a mom who's coming to grips that her son has autism. I'm happy to see stuff like that.
One thing I remember discussing with Random a while back, because we noticed like these, like little traits and signs with two particular Marvel characters. We noticed there were little signs of that with Andrew Garfield's version of Peter Parker in the first Amazing movie, the way he is socially at school, where he's just a little bit withdrawn, and you see the way he, kind of speaks to people. When he's got the mask on, he feels a little bit more confident because he can just let out his true self, so to speak, and he honestly thinks that the way Tony Stark was, I don't know whether it was necessarily referencing the MCU or the comics. He goes, oh yeah, Stark has to have traits because of his mannerisms, the way he talks to people, because to my understanding there's two kinds of autism with regards to social cues. There's the one where people are, where they're very empathetic, and they recognize certain things they're doing, and then you get the Sheldon Cooper kind where no one else is important but him. And it wouldn't surprise me if the character of Sheldon does have those personality traits, because, particularly the way he uses Leonard, like his personal conduit. It's like there are times I feel like going to the TV and just bitch slapping him, just like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, and
Yep.
I also Leonard is the most like-minded people, along with Amy. I feel like half all the characters are just whipped, especially Wallowitz.
Oh god.
Oh, don't get me started on him.
Here's the thing. Yes, he started out as an ass when the series began, but after a while you kind of warm up to him. You feel like, well, maybe you're not as bad as before, and then you go. Now, I'll give Bernie her due. In the beginning, she's quite sweet, she's quite pleasant, and then she turns into miniature Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Except with a titchy voice. So basically, Stephanie before.
Yeah.
So basically, Stephanie before.
Oh no.
Here's the thing I've noticed with Steph. Her voice has gotten a lot deeper since the McMahon-Helmsley regime. Now, Random thinks that might be because Steph smokes, because when you do smoke, your voice tends to get a little bit deeper. I think it might be, and I'm completely taking a shot in the dark with this, it might be two factors. One, because the lady does bodybuild, and that can alter things with you physically, or maybe she suffered a few unpleasant moments when she had her children, and it left a permanent, mark on her vocal cords. I mean, I don't know. But basically, yeah, Bernadette is basically mini Stephanie McMahon. It's just, ugh.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially I think during game night or something like that, she was like, I want to be someone. I don't know what the thing was, but Wiles wasn't having it. But when she kind of chews him out publicly with the crew, he just concedes, and then Sheldon with his payback got the whip app,
They were playing the Star Wars online game.
Oh yeah, okay, there it is. I'm not the biggest Sheldon fan, but aside from this and how he owned Priya, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, that was nasty. He goes, you may have been a graduate at Oxford University, but I am an honorary graduate at Starfleet Academy. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Oh my gosh.
For all the faults I see in Big Bang Theory, they had some pretty funny moments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Oh, we already did that one. Let's see. What one to... Oh. I would have picked this one out a few weeks ago, but for whatever reason I never actually got round to it, so I figured now's as good a time as any. Mark Hamill hints at Skeletor's return in Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Oh,
Skeletor remains the greatest foe that
Okay.
He-Man and the Protectors of Grayskull have faced throughout the history of Masters of the Universe, with Mark Hamill of Star Wars fame in the Joker recently bringing the Dark Lord of Evil to life via the original Netflix series. Now Hamill is hinting at returning to the series to voice Skeletor one more time, potentially hinting at a new season for the original series, Masters of the Universe Revelation, which was created by filmmaker Kevin Smith and explored a very different version of Eternia. The first episode of Revelation threw a curveball at fans, killing both He-Man and Skeletor, forming a new group of heroes and villains that sought to restore magic to their world. With Teela, generic, and friends managing to bring Prince Adam back from the great beyond, so too did Skeletor return, only for the villain to gain more power of the universe, subsequently losing to Evil Lyn in the process. The first season had quite the post-credits scene, which hinted at a very different Skeletor returning to the series, if new episodes were created, certainly giving Hamill the opportunity to stretch his acting legs. Hamill shared a hint of Revelation's return on his official Twitter, not just stating that he'll be returning to the studio to voice Skeletor, but that he would be spending an entire day working on the antagonist's voice for what is surely new episodes of Masters of the Universe for Netflix. Hamill, of course, is no stranger to the world of voice acting, with him perhaps being most famously known for his take on the Joker in Batman, the animated series, as well as other series and video games, along with the voice of hopping albino ape known as Skipped in regular show. Hammond's take on the Lord of Evil in Eternia was a perfect pick for Skeletor, and we look forward to his return. In fact, Masters of the Universe Revelation is making a comeback. It should also be noted he voiced Hobgoblin, and he was a good gargoyle in the Incredible Hulk the animated series.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm struggling to reach a boiling point. Gargoyle, again. You reached my boiling point, you Judas. It's just like, oh my god, the resentment is strong with this one. What do you think of Mark Hamill's take on Skeletor? Feel free to let us know in the comments or hit me up directly below on Twitter at EVComedy to talk all things comics, anime, and the world of Eternia. I'm gonna be honest with Hamill's Skeletor. It took me a while to get used to it because all I could hear was Joker. Because I know he was trying to do his own version without it being Joker, but all you could hear was Batman the Animated Series Joker, but just being more ham than usual, which with Hamill, I don't know if that's even possible. And as we, for those that have seen Season 2 of Revelation, there is a cliffhanger at the end where it's implied Hordak is coming into the world. Now, dependent on which version of He-Man that you've watched, if you look at the one where the She-Ra series accompanied that line, Hordak is basically a shape-shifting RoboCop on legs. Hordak in the new She-Ra animated series, it was a different take. I like the voice actor that they got for him, and they actually gave him a backstory, so I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cool. The only issue I had with that Netflix series is that, other than for the honor of Grayskull, with She-Ra's calling card with the sword, there was never any mention of He-Man. That's the only thing I, mark that series down for. Otherwise, it's fine. And then we've got the 2002 reboot of Hordak. He is not someone you mess with. No. He goes from a warlord to, well, let's call it for what it is. In that universe, he's basically the devil incarnate. Especially that, that scene where, Skeletor goes from Keldor to Skeletor.
And you just hear his voice going, Keldor is no more. There is only Skeletor.
I mean, even for a Saturday morning animated series, that was messed up.
Woo! I mean, listen. For me, I'm desensitized seeing like violence, blah blah blah. But yo, Jesus Christ! Even though I'll forever slander on how much I disliked the first half of Revelations, that ending. Whew, Jesus Christ!
Yeah. If they do a season 3 of Revelations, all I'm gonna say, I think there should be like these mandates laid down to Smith. He-Man is featured prominently again as the main character, because that was the biggest mistake in killing him off. I mean, yes, you give other characters a chance to shine, but it'd be like having an animated series of Batman and he doesn't show up until the last episode. It's like, how's this Batman? I mean, it'd be like roasting with Lydia, but she's only in the last 3 episodes, and for for like the first 7 to 8 episodes, she's hosted by talk show host Wendy. You know, the one that tends to have a bit of a brain to mouth filter problem.
Ah.
Or it could be worse, her talk show is hosted by Kim Kardashian, and she's like, oh, no. You're not giving my show to her.
Please, no.
Oh, my Lord.
I'd be like, that'd be like sophisticated time with Raiden's hour, and the first 45 minutes, Lil Wayne, hijacks the show, and then Raiden just comes in like with a magnum. Boy, be gone now. I'm laying down some great stuff, man. You were sitting there for 45 minutes talking absolute gibberish. Yeah, that's my latest album. Get out.
Lay out the cough syrup, brother. Lay out the cough syrup.
I don't even want to know.
It's a term. It's a term in hip hop called scissor. So.
Okay. So Stephen, would you welcome a 3rd season of Revelation with Hamill as Skeletor, or do you think maybe it's the time just to leave that version of He-Man alone again?
It just depends. For me, it depends what angle they go with and how long they are going to continue running the series.
Okay. To our own sorceress, Madam President. What do you think? Lids. She's on mute.
Oh.
Alright. Till we can get to Lids, to our own Man-at-Arms, Raiden. What do you think?
You already know my answer, man. Like,
Sorry, I had to leave early. Sorry, I had to leave. My mom called me, so we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Back though.
Alright. To our own sorceress, Madam President, what do you make of the idea of a 3rd season of Revelation? Would you have back as Skeletor?
I'm of 2 minds about it, because again, I didn't particularly hear any nice things about it, and plus, only found out about Skeletor.
Oh dear.
What did he have to say?
Oh, let's just say he was a little confused by it.
No, we're not talking about Skeletor in this house.
See what I mean?
Oh dear. The Rikaku has come forth.
I refer to him as Tiny Dick Skeletor.
What he said.
Thank gosh, he's a heck of a way out from the You think that's bad? You should see how ham and camp he is in the new series.
Yeah, it's just like everything that he found out from like Skeletor getting the sword of like
getting
the sword. Yeah, the sword of power to He-Man, Prince Adam turning into the Hulk.
I bet he's like,
That confused him a lot.
Hulk, man.
But yeah, again, I'm not really interested in that. It's like, unless they improve and make freaking Tila less of a Mary Sue, I'll be happy, or I'll be content with that. But I don't have any hope for this series. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
Alrighty. Okay, I can finally put that one to bed. This is likely to rub Raiden the wrong way, considering a certain character of this show is going to return.
Uh-oh.
That 70s show, all cast members except one returning for the 90s show.
Oh dear.
Production on Netflix's That 90s Show, the sequel to the fan-favorite sitcom That 70s Show, is underway now. The upcoming series has added even more original returning stars. According to Deadline, all of the original young cast of That 70s Show, with the exception of Danny Masterson, will be appearing in the sequel. Per the report, Topher Grace, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Laura Prepon, and Wilmer Valderrama will all reprise their original roles, what is described as legacy cast, making special guest appearances. The actors join that fellow That 70s Show star Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp, who are both series stars and executive producers on That 90s Show. Netflix also released a first look at the series, which you can check out at that particular link. Interestingly, Valderrama, who played foreign exchange student Fez on That 70s Show, had recently expressed his support for the sequel series, though at the time he was a little busy to appear, as it was something he'd never say no to. I'm a little busy right now, but I support them so much, Valderrama said. I'm rooting for them. I wish them nothing but the best, and if the timing is right, I'd never say no. That 70s Show originally aired on Fox from 1998 to 2006. That 90s Show is actually the second spin-off for the series, which also spawned that short-lived That 80s Show in 2002. It aired just for one season for a total of 13 episodes on Fox, and it was just a spin-off largely in structure alone. That 90s Show will also star Ashley Alfterhide as Gwen, Callie Haverda as Leia Foreman, and Mace Coronel as Jay, Maxwell AC Donovan as Nate, Rain Doy as Ozzy, and Sam Morios as Nikki. Netflix ordered the sequel series last fall and described it as being set in 1995. Oh, that frickin' year. And Leia Foreman, daughter of Eric and Donna, is visiting their grandparents for the summer, where she bonds with a new generation of Point Place WA kids under the watchful eye of Kitty and the stern glare of Red. So that means Jackie's coming back.
Shut up, Meg.
It sounds interesting. 95 of all year. No one liked that year. Because
I wouldn't know. I was only 4 at the time.
To put it politely, nothing was particularly great for football that year, because I used to be in football at one stage. Although one headline that did catch everyone off guard was when Manchester United defeated Ipswich Town. I'm not joking with this. 9-0. You don't see score lines like that these days in soccer. And for those that may be just getting up in arms in the UK, I'm saying soccer because if you say football in the US, football's a completely different thing over there. So you say soccer.
It's handball.
Yeah. And also, here's the thing, the term soccer was actually developed, but it was actually a name coined by Europeans, not Americans. So, just saying. Americans may have popularized it, yes. but Europeans came up with it first. Research, make friends with it. I've only ever seen bits and pieces of that 70s show. I mean, it was a launching pad for Ashton Kutcher. Same thing with Mila Kunis. And even The Rock made a guest appearance as his father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, when it was...
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, when he was... I think it was either appearing in the WWF, or it was just short to WWF at the time, but even said, you know, my son will be the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. I'm like, that might have been the writers doing that, but I couldn't help but feel like, Rock, I think you're stroking your ego a little bit there. But, you know, it's all good. So, yeah, I don't have anything really to say. Steve, your thoughts?
Never really seen the show, so wouldn't have an opinion on it.
Fair enough. I only tuned in for a couple of clips because, well, Mila Kunis cute. Although, funny thing, she should have actually been kicked off that show because when she did audition and then signed up, she lied about her age.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know the circumstances of it at the time, but I think they had like a certain policy where you had to be this specific age to be on there. And yeah, they found out about it much later, and they're just like, nah, you're good, stuff it, you know, it's all good. And I don't know what it is about her, but she's another one that doesn't age. I don't know what.
She is Russian, so
Ukrainian, I think.
Ukrainian.
Yeah. Her words, not mine.
Because you look at her in the movie Bad Moms and you swear blind she's either early to mid 20s, because I think her like official, you know, her real age is something like early to mid 30s, and I'm just like, girl, what are you taking? But yep, Madam President, your thoughts? Something that you're likely to watch or pass?
I might like watch it as a passing glance because I mean, there's a reason certain people aren't coming back for awkward reasons. But again, I wouldn't mind watching this just for like, just out of curiosity, see what it's about. I mean, if they were able to get most of the cast back, I'm like, cool. They're like, the fact that you were able to get Topher Grace back, even though reasons that he left because of his floundering movie career. That's me being polite, but still, I might check it out just like for out of curiosity, but just like, or if I'm bored. I need to see a trailer first before I can make a complete like have an airtight opinion on that, though.
All right. All right, Raiden. I know you have reservations about some aspects of the original series, but what's your thoughts?
I mean, despite how much Jackie annoyed the crap out of me with her just annoying shrill voice, I'll definitely check it out. You know, especially how they finally corrected everything with the final season. Because good lord, especially after Topher Grace left, the shares with this shit. I can't hold you. You know, so, and I'm happy to see Kitty and Red, especially Red. I mean, I don't know. Now that I'm older. I appreciate him more because all the shit he had to deal with. You know, so yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It sucks that one of my favorite characters not showing up, but that's because of him, and I'll leave it at that. So, but yeah, but yeah. I'll definitely give it a glance since I enjoyed watching a couple episodes. You know. So yeah, can't wait.
All right. Let's see. Okay, one I didn't get to use last time. Ex-wife Priscilla Presley praises Austin Butler in new movie. Earlier this year, movie fans got a glimpse at the first trailer for Elvis, the upcoming Warner Brothers biopic about the life and music of Elvis Presley, and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker.
Also, can I just say this? Woo, boy, Corey Coleman does not like Elvis Presley. That's
No,
crazy.
he does not. He went in on that trailer.
He did.
I understand. To be fair, I understand his reasons for doing it, because the stuff that they were talking about, I didn't even know before he brought that to light. I still appreciate what Elvis brought to music, because, I mean, Chuck Berry invented modern rock and roll. No denial
Yes.
there. I feel like if you didn't have Elvis, would it have moved as far as it did? I don't know. I don't think I'm qualified to say, but, you know, he's a part of musical history, part of pop culture history. You know, and he inspired a lot of people. Elvis was helmed by Baz Luhrmann. Oh, he also did Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby. I really need to watch The Great Gatsby. I hear so many good things about that. Who previously, especially all the, one of the biggest meme generator was of DiCaprio holding that champagne glass like, cheers to all my haters, more news will be coming soon. Previously compared the upcoming movie to a superhero film. Of course, when it comes to biopics, there are plenty of actors to consider and certain people whose approval matters most. In the case of Elvis, the iconic star's ex-wife Priscilla Presley and daughter Lisa Marie Presley, who should be noted starred opposite Leslie Nielsen in A Naked Gun 2.5, that was Elvis's daughter, are still prominent figures. Recently, Priscilla took to Facebook to reveal she's seen Elvis and praised Butler's performance. For those curious about the new film Elvis, the director provided a private screening for me and Jerry Shelling at Warner Bros. Studios recently. This story is about Elvis and Colonel Parker's relationship. It is a true story told brilliantly and creatively that only Baz, in his unique artistic way, could have delivered. Butler, who played Elvis, is outstanding. Halfway through the film, Jerry and I looked at each other and said, "Wow." Bravo to him. He knew he had big shoes to fill. He was extremely nervous playing this part, I can only imagine. Tom Hanks was Colonel Parker in this film. What a character he was. There was two sides to Colonel. Jerry and I witnessed both. The story, as we all know, does not have a happy ending, but I think you will understand a little more of Elvis's journey, penned by a character who put his heart and soul and many hours into this film. Elvis explores the life and music of Elvis Presley, seen through the prism of his complicated relationship with his enigmatic manager, Colonel Tom Parker. The story delves into the complex dynamic between Presley and Parker spanning over 20 years, from Presley's rise to fame to his unprecedented stardom against the backdrop of the evolving cultural landscape and loss of innocence in America. Central to that journey is one of the most significant and influential people in Elvis's life, Priscilla Presley. I love biopics, but this is not really a biopic, right? It's really about, for me, America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Lerman previously explained. If you want to talk about America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, at the center of culture for the good, bad, and the ugly is a figure like Elvis. Like how Shakespeare would take a historical figure like a king and explore a big theme of, or Amadeus isn't really about Mozart. When you learn so much about Mozart, it's about jealousy. What this movie about is America in these three epochs. Elvis the rebel, Elvis the highest paid actor in Hollywood, and Elvis the living legend. The icon trapped in a hotel not 10 minutes from here by a man called Colonel Tom Parker. Well, the fact that, you know, the fact that the movie has gotten the stamp and seal of approval from his ex-wife, you know you've done something. I don't think I can add anything to that, because I think, particularly with the advent of Bohemian Rhapsody 4 years ago, where biopics are really starting to become more of a norm now. I don't think it will ever replace superhero movies because it's apples to oranges and what have you, but
Yeah.
the way that biopics are being written, cast, edited, and the way they try to portray it as accurately as possible with some artistic liberties taken, because there are some bits where you use your own imagination and you fill in the blanks yourself. With Elton John's Rocket Man, seriously, Sony Pictures, get Careless Whisper going. We want a George Michael movie this decade. You had to figure at some stage there was going to be a major big production of Elvis done. I mean, there's been movies about Elvis's life before, but not on this scale. And the fact they got an actor that is the spitting image of Elvis, along with the voice, the mannerisms, the way he's had his hair done. It's in a similar way of getting Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. I mean, Lids is a Queen fan as well. I mean, were you taken way back with how Rami just nailed it as Freddie? I think Lids is on mute again. She is.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I agree. I am a bit of a Queen fan, and if you can pull it off, I'm like, if this can be pulled off, hey, more power to him. It's just, honestly, when I watched that trailer, I'm like, who is that? It's like, you do a good job when you can disappear into a role, because I know who Austin Butler is, and I did not recognize him at all. So I'm like, good on you, man.
I mean, particularly when he lets out the first few notes on stage, like, well, and the girls in the audience just lose their freaking minds. I'm just like, okay, you're Elvis. So, yeah, like I say, the movie has gotten the stamp of approval from Priscilla. It's just like, okay, you're gonna do fine. Steve, thoughts?
I've seen the trailer play several times when just before I've done screen announcement. It definitely looks like it's going to be a good biopic. And surprised nobody has done it sooner.
It's all about timing, because here's the thing. Sometimes you can have the story, but the studio be making something else at the time, or they have the right script but the wrong actor, and sometimes the right actor but the wrong script. It's only when things align properly, that you can get things going. It'd be like, say for the sake of discussion, they decide to do an Iron Man animated series, but done with the animation and writing quality of that of the 90s Spider-Man, and Raiden gets handed the script to play War Machine. And it'd be like, oh, by the way, you get to be snarky and sarcastic, Jim Rose, and his brain's like, really? Well,
Have my attention.
And it's like, who do I get to play? You get to play JJ. And his eyes just like, I get to play JJ.
Yes, you can play JJ. Yay!
And who gets to play the Hulk? The Mighty Tarrison. That's 2 on the nose.
Oh man.
Who's playing Spider-Man? Random DC. No. He'll have far too much. Actually, no, don't let random anywhere near the Deadpool role.
Oh no! You're just asking for trouble.
Mm.
Although I could see Kaiju as Tony Stark. Does have
Hey, I can see that.
he does have the
Well,
wit
he has
for
the-
it.
And the mech.
Yes. Whew. Raiden, thoughts on the rubber stamp of approval, and how do you think Corey's gonna react to this? Because as you said, he went in on that freaking thing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm not really a big fan of Elvis. Like, okay, it's not because of the cultural appropriation, blah blah blah. He's just not my cup of tea. I respect what he's done for the business, and for what it's worth, I thought the trailer itself looked cool. How Corey's gonna react? Still gonna understand, but still gonna spit out his vitriol, which is gonna be a funny way to see. Like, I get it, you know, our people definitely originated from rock and roll. It got stolen from us, and I don't know, man. Like, holding grudges is not good for the soul. So
No.
it's like,
No.
it happened.
Mm.
You know, acknowledge it, just move on, and just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. And Corey, I like how respectful he is for people he does, but I don't know. He just can't let that shit go. And honestly, it's funny in a way. So I can't wait to see his reaction to that. But all in all, I thought the trail's cool. It looks very poignant. Even though I won't see it, I know it's going to be a hit. I mean, I'm happy to see a lot, even though the world is dominated with a lot of superhero movies and video game movies that's making a big comeback. I'm happy to see uh, music biographies are coming back in a great fashion. Love to see more of it.
Mind you, speaking of Corey's vitriol, did you see what he and Billy did to the third Ninja Turtles movie?
Yes. Oh my god. Oh man, listen. I'm not the biggest fan of the third movie, but I thought it was harmless. But yeah, I don't know. The costumes to me was the biggest change. I mean, I was happy to hear Corey Feldman back as Donnie because he didn't reprise his role in the second movie. But yeah, that wasn't gonna save anybody.
Okay. Move on to another one. Let's see. What have we got left? It seems we can't get away from Spider-Man 3 at the moment.
Oh, no.
Jesus, now what?
Sam Raimi defends Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 dance. We meant it to be funny. That's not what I would call it.
It's Sam Raimi. Of course, it's funny.
Sam Raimi isn't bothered by Tobey Maguire's famous dance getting memed frequently by fans, as the director says the scene was supposed to be amusing. One of the most memorable moments to come from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 is the famous dance scene. Sporting an alternate look that's part of his emo Peter Parker phase, Tobey Maguire dances in a way that made viewers laugh while drawing criticism from others. I was cringing in the audience. In the years since Sam Raimi's third Spidey film was released in 2007, that scene has been brought back into the spotlight through constant memes, GIFs, and edited video clips. Raimi addressed Maguire's dance in a new interview with Fandom. The director is not offended by so many people finding the dance to be so funny, especially as the memes have continued to roll out. Raimi says the scene was designed to be funny, though it didn't seem to be taken that way by many filmgoers at the time. Even if the laughs are coming late, Raimi's now just happy that the scene turned out to amuse so many people all these years later. Well, we meant it to be funny, actually. It was Peter Parker's version, this lame kid of what it must be like to be his evil self, but he's so whipped, he's so out of it that's his take on it. It didn't go over well with the audience, but that's what we were trying to do. So I'm not surprised that I'm glad that people find it funny. We wanted it to be fun. Spider-Man 3 is considered by fans to be the weakest of Raimi's trilogy. Valid. as there were not many other complaints critics had beyond Peter Parker's dancing. The bad reviews did not help production on a planned Spider-Man 4, a sequel that ultimately fell apart with Raimi parting ways with Marvel. From there, Spidey has been rebooted multiple times with Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland taking over, although all three united in the smash hit film Spider-Man No Way Home. Sam Raimi has returned to Marvel but has no plans to revisit Spider-Man. Raimi has made his way back to Marvel, but not to do more work with Spider-Man. He helmed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is now screening in theaters. Now that Raimi is back in the Marvel fold, some fans have campaigned for him to finally make the cancelled Spider-Man 4. There are no plans at this time for Spider-Man 4 to happen. As Raimi recently told Screen Rant, he isn't even bother pursuing the matter. I currently don't have any plans to make Spider-Man 4, and they're so successful with the new Spider-Man series that I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I haven't pursued that. Although, Tom Holland has said that Garfield should do The Amazing Spider-Man 3 just to have the closure.
Yes.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness performed so well at the box office will increase the odds of Raimi doing more work in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the future. The question is if he'll ever go back for another Spider-Man movie, or if he'd instead focus on a potential Doctor Strange 3 or another superhero project. It's hard to say. My take... well, you'll know how I felt about that, that dance. I think because it's so out of character and the fact the accompanying music is not something you'd associate with Spider-Man is what just brings the cringe factor up, and the fact that he's going by thinking he's God's gift to women, especially when he emerges from the clothes store and he's doing dances that would have been eyebrowed in the 70s, and the girl's like, no, let's get away from this boy, he doesn't know what he's on. I don't know. I was cringed out by it back in 2007, and not much has changed, and it's something I'm going to be sadly touching upon again in the retrospective for the 15th anniversary of that movie later this month, and poor Lids and Ray would be like, oh, not this scene again. Good Lord, only help us. What happens if Garfield or Holland ever makes contact with the symbiote suit?
Well, who knows at this point?
No. Although there's a small portion of the symbiote left behind from Venom at the end of No Way Home that's still in the Tom Holland universe, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. Be interesting to see how that does, but... there are people that find, the whole spider swagger amusing. Me, I'm sorry. All I ever do is cringe at it, so... Steve, you go say your thoughts on it.
Not really got much to say on this one. I mean, yes, it's there. People didn't really think much of it at the time.
All right.
I ended up seeing the Doctor Strange 2 in cinemas, but I'm finding myself agreeing with Random that I felt annoyed with certain parts of the movie. I'm not going to say why because I don't want to spoil it for the rest of you.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care less. You do it. You do it.
But
all right.
it's just I'm finding myself agreeing with Random with certain parts, and there's a point that Kaiju made in an earlier SKL episode, I think this season, which more applies to this film than it did Spider-Man.
Okay.
and could be a hint of things to come. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling it.
Gotcha.
Once the spoiler cap has been lifted, I'm gonna have a few things to say about that.
Okay. Madam President, your thoughts on Raimi saying the dance was meant to be funny?
To be fair, I'm not surprised considering the fact that Sam Raimi's known for his camp. So it's like, it was meant to be awkwardly funny. So I'll accept that as an answer because, quite frankly, as the meme has been buried through the dirt, it's still funny to me because it's like, oh God, please make this stop. Just the cringe of this scene is actually funny. So if again, it's not Sam Raimi saying that I screwed up. It's like, no, this was funny. It's like I meant it to be funny. Whether, again, humor's subjective, so we can take it. Anybody can take it the way they want to. So I'm actually like not saying that he owned up to something, but he's saying that like it was meant to be funny. So it's like that's I respect him for that. So I respect him for saying it's funny. So I'll accept that as an answer.
And to our own Spider-Man himself, Raiden, thoughts?
All right, look. When I first saw it, I wasn't really annoyed. I wasn't really annoyed like some people is. I was like, I was confused, but I was happy the legacy still stands because if you remember into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man, aka Chris Pine, did the same dance. So I'm happy to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about that.
Also, I saw a little kid dancing with the same moves. I'm like, oh my God. Raimi, you poisoned our youth.
And hard to think. The dance, well, derived from Dark Peter Parker. It inspired the creation of Bully Maguire.
Yeah. Oh God.
YouTube poops would be nothing without him.
No.
Because we first saw, I don't know if this was created before Aldo Jones did this, but he did the weird trailer for Infinity War, and it's like, Bully Maguire, like, Liz is like, Bully Maguire?
Oh God, discovering that, I'm like, oh no!
Oh yes.
God.
That freaking weird trailer, I think that broke everyone.
Yeah, it did.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if Aldo Jones has actually done anything lately, because he went from...
I feel like he hasn't. I haven't seen any of his videos come up in my feed, and I'm subscribed to him.
I know he wasn't able to do much for The Flash because Warner Brothers got chesty about it. But the one thing he was able to put in was Toby essentially video shot into the scene going, "Go Web, go! Shazam!"
I'm bumping away, Web.
And funny enough, there was a little bit of continuity carried over in Spider-Man 3 when he's given the key to the city. You actually do hear him say Shazam, which I thought, okay, there's a little bit of continuity there. I like that. But, I wrote the script up for that yesterday, and let's just say by the time we get through the writing segment, it's just like, my gosh, you went in, boy. Yeah. At least we can be grateful for one thing. At least the Raimi trilogy never featured OMD.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that arc.
Oh.
Alright. We've got time for one more article. Let me pick something out. this actually does concern what would have been Spider-Man 4.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Spider-Man 4 director confirms villain. Sam Raimi says he had a special villain in mind for Spidey 4. In a sit-down with Rolling Stone, the filmmaker explains that he wanted Kraven the Hunter to be featured as the villain for the next adventure with Maguire's version of the hero. A lot of the reporting after the fallout of Raimi's exit pointed to the Vulture as a bad guy, however the plans might not have been so simple to predict. The director seems to indicate that he was in between deciding, but his gut was leaning Kraven. After all, the Hunter has never squared off against the web slinger in a live action before. It would have been fun to see who got cast for that type of role because of the charisma required to banter at Spider-Man on a rooftop, dressed in a line fur vest. It seems like the director won't have to wait long to see Kraven get his turn on the silver screen, as Sony have already greenlit a movie featuring the villain. Interesting. That was one of the possibilities. We had other things in mind too, but that was one of them, and I missed Kraven the Hunter. We were going to work that character into the next Spider-Man. I always wanted to see Kraven fight Spidey on the big screen. I thought that would have been really unique. He's the ultimate hunter, and Spider-Man is the most agile trickster of the skies. I wanted to see Peter continue forward as a human. Recently, Fandango, not the wrestler, asked the director about the idea of uniting with Maguire to revisit the franchise. Fans all over the world were asking for Spider-Man 4, and Sony would all have to do is say yes. He's leaving the door open because with the multiverse anything is possible. I've come to realize after making Doctor Strange that anything is possible, really anything in the Marvel Universe. Raimi then, when asked about a possible Spider-Man sequel, I love Tobey, I love Kirsten, I think all things are possible. That's different from the interview we just heard recently. I don't have a story or plan. I don't know if Marvel would be interested in that right now. If it makes money, if you build them, they will come. Because people are clamoring for Amazing Spider-Man 3. All they'd have to do is say, do you want a Spider-Man 4? If you get like Twitter lighting up like crazy, Twitter will crash with a resounding Daniel Bryan yes. I haven't really pursued that, but it sounds beautiful. Even if it wasn't a Spider-Man movie, I'd love to work with Tobey again in a different role. Do you want to see Kraven in Spider-Man 4? It'd be interesting. I did see one fan-made trailer a while ago because I got thinking about the Man-Wolf arc in the Spider-Man series, and somebody had put a fan-edited trailer of a mixture of Bad Moon with footage of the actor who played John Jameson in Spider-Man 2. What if you had Spidey go up against the Man-Wolf, but the character is portrayed like a werewolf?
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Because Raimi wanted to bring Morbius in at one stage, and Raimi's unique style as a storyteller, imagine Morbius within his Spider-Man series, because we know the guy can do horror because he did the Evil Dead and the Drag Me movie. I've never watched that movie, but people tell me that movie goes to places.
Oh, it does indeed.
The reason I never went to watch that movie, aside from the fact I didn't want to have a movie where a change in a pair of jeans would be required. It says when this...
You serious?
There are certain horror movies I can't watch because it really gets my anxiety going up.
Fair enough.
I understand. I'm the same way when it comes to Hellraiser.
The only major reason, one of the reasons I wouldn't go to watch, and granted it's just a movie, but it's where it says in the plot the protagonist sacrifices her kit, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, no, that's a big no from me. If you've ever owned a cat or a kitten and you read that in a story, you think, I can't watch that. It's just a thing with me. It'd be the same thing if there was a story where, you know, a puppy is taken out. There's no way on this earth Lids would watch it. Like, nope.
No, I'm calling John Wick. Mess with dogs.
Especially Keanu's dog. Because Keanu's a national treasure.
Ah, he'll kill you if you mess with his dog.
Yeah, so Craven, I think I can think of, like, in terms of body types, the ideal person who could, you know, the ideal body type, but then find an actor that could play the character but then do the voice. If you could find somebody who had the same build as Dan the Beast Severn, you find somebody who's also a good actor with that build, perfect. Because
Scott Atkins.
That could work.
Because, like I say,
Because if you remember, he had the voice of down pat in the Undisputed video series as Yuri Boyka.
all right.
So I think so. Just switch up the voice.
Yeah.
I mean, just basically study Yuri Boyka, and there's Craven on there.
Yeah.
He's a great stunt. He's great at stunts. So hey, there's your answer right there.
Yeah. And like I say, if at any stage, because we know the Spider-Man movie series will get rebooted again at some stage. Because,
Yes.
And again, and again.
well, superhero movie franchises, I think, get rebooted, like, particularly if you look in the case of Batman, it's like once a decade.
Yeah.
I think at some stage, Sony or whomever owns the movie rights at that specific time will go and say, okay, let's do something really unique and different with Spidey. Number one, no more origin stories for at least 2 decades. No.
Yeah.
We've done that to death now.
Yeah, we know it. Uncle Ben died. The end. Come on.
But also have a list of, here are antagonists you want to bring in, here are antagonists that please don't reuse these yet again. Because, particularly in Batman's case, how many times are we going to see the Joker in video games, animated form, and in live action? Because at some stage...
Too many.
At some stage, you have to start taking other characters and start bringing them up. Because,
I mean,
if you look at the way Michael and Sarah portrayed Mr. Freeze in the animated series, up until that point, he was a forgettable, like, B or C villain. You have him in Hearts of Ice, and it's like, whoa. You know, you actually feel a connection with that. And it's a similar thing. Before they did the first Iron Man movie, Iron Man was a C-list superhero that was more of an assist. First MCU movie, they turn him into an A-lister. Maybe even A-plus lister. So I think what they need to do is say, look down the list. What can we do with Craven? What can we do with Morbius? And do it right this time. Or, you know, actually take the Man-Wolf arc. You know, what are the complications? Is it just simply a case of the meteorite affecting him? Or, you know, if he does scratch or bite somebody, does he pass on, you know, that disease? And what does this mean for Spider-Man if he has to combat him? Because whenever Spidey has gone hand-to-hand combat with somebody, he doesn't come away without scratches and bruises. So how would this complicate things for Spidey? there's a whole lot of things that they would need to figure out. And again, Raimi talked about at some stage of doing like a more horror-styled version, horror movie for Spidey, because again, he wanted to bring in Morbius. Vulture would have been an interesting take, because I think if you bring a character like Adrian Toomes into live action, you can't have it be campy. You have to have it with this certain level of
seriousness,
very plausibility, to where you don't necessarily need to make him a supernatural character, but it's what the character says, how he says it, and maybe have the prosthetic makeup to where he looks like a vulture because of physical scarring, to the point where, even the way when he would speak, it would send a shiver down someone's spine, like the way Scarecrow was voiced in season 4 of Batman the Animated Series. That very whispery voice, even for a Saturday morning animated series, that was dark.
Yeah.
So he's trying to find that balance, and I think until say 20 to 30 years in the future, Goblin and Doc Ock are off limits for movie adaptations, because Willem Dafoe is the best as Gobby, and no one can play Doc Ock better than Alfred Molina. That role is his, until his time's up. And it's the same thing with Batman. Until such time in the future, let's not overdo it with the Joker, because I think, particularly in the Arkham series, we've had enough now. Because Joker's bankable, yes, but it gets to a point where it gets really old and stale. With Sonic the Hedgehog, Robotnik is always the main antagonist, but Batman has possibly the greatest rogues gallery in comic book and fiction history. There is so many that you can pick and choose from, that you could, raise up and actually make a name out of someone. That, yeah, Jack Nicholson did wonders for the Joker. My personal favourite. Even though Heath Ledger's not my particular personal favourite, I respect and acknowledge the Oscar-worthy performance that he put in. Jared Leto, I'm 50-50 with, because I felt like he was trying to be Ledger a little bit too hard. It's just like, dude, just be your own version. And as for the version that was deleted from the Batman, I could see why. I mean, to be fair, that was probably cut due to time constraints, because the movie was already 3 hours long as is.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But that scene, I mean, the actor did it great, but the physical scarring that guy had was like...
Yeah, man, holy shit.
That was terrifying.
I mean, I do like what Matt Reeves is going with, like, especially with realistic, like, villains. So, I like how he says that it's a disorder. So instead of just like the bad acid. Okay, bad acid thing, probably, but I like how it's this a disorder.
Most definitely.
Maybe they could play it like the scars were never there, and then he just uses like acid to try to get rid of the scars that no one can see but him. Maybe.
That sounds more like a Two-Face.
Like body dysmorphia.
That sounds more like a Two-Face thing, because if you noticed in Dark Knight Returns, he purposely tried to scar himself again, because although the scars were gone physically, they were still there mentally.
Yeah, that's fair. That sounds more of like a Two-Face thing.
So yeah. Maybe one day, like I say, we'll get to finally see Craven done on the big screen. I'm not 100% sure if he should have his story portrayed out the way it was done in Spectacular Spider-Man, where he becomes half man, half lion. That was a...
That'd be weird. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically at that point Lionel with a Russian accent.
Or
Basically.
Leomon if he ends up dying.
That too.
Ah, dang it. That again.
So... I'm intrigued. But it's another one of those... Wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
Madam President, your thoughts?
I mean, you can't deny that, like, he kind of got screwed over the last time he tried to do this, so it's like, he tried his best to make do with what he was given, like, considering the fact that the studio made him add Venom, they made him do this, it's like, with everything that we're going, sure, I wouldn't have mind seeing Kraven the Hunter done by Sam Raimi, but yeah, I'm with you. He needs to be less campy and more like dark, like not too dark, but like kind of more realistic and less campy. Don't get me wrong, I like my camp. I like my camp just fine, but just there is a fine line between like slapstick and hardcore darkness. It's just find a little happy medium, and I'll be okay with that.
Steven?
Interesting idea how they could have had Kraven in Spider-Man 4. Although, part of me thinks you could have had another situation where you had multiple villains in there, because Kraven's a hunter, you could have had, like, more scientific experiments via Oscorp, and then having Kraven being called in to track them down.
Could work.
And again, that's me just brainstorming.
That could have worked.
Okay.
It's, but it's just more or less what Sony are trying to do now with their Spider-Man universe. I mean, with the fact that they've already confirmed that Kraven the Hunter is getting his own movie along with Black Cat and Madam Web down the line.
That's just weird. That is just weird.
How are they all going to make it fit in? How are they going to make it all fit in their own corner of the Marvel multiverse?
I don't know. What does Raiden think?
Honestly, I think Kraven and the Hunter is one of the most overlooked Spider-Man villains. I mean, I feel like he's been done well in the animated show from of course, the original 90s series, and I thought his iteration in Spectacular Spider-Man was pretty good. Yeah, but I was just glad to see a live action version of him. I feel like that can be done well, even though Sony I barely trust nowadays. Even though like I understand off topic why they would push back beyond the Spider-Verse, because they got a lot of stuff to put in. But I don't know. I'm of two minds. One, I would like to see Kraven in Spider-Man universe. Two, but you would get another Venom situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm a little excited, but not gonna hold my tongue on how easy it is. He's gonna be interwoven in this universe.
All right. Well, folks, that'll just about do it for this evening. Thank you to my co-hosts, and thank you to Dan and the Sean Retro for being in the audience. And sadly, we're back at the usual regular time of 6 p.m. UK time next Sunday, but like I say, that was the trade-off for for whenever I have time off, is that we revert back to old school SKL like we had before the end of season 8 last year, but it is what it is. We work with it. So yeah, that'll do it for this week. I don't think there's anybody to raid.
Yeah, Oni isn't going to stream till a little bit later. He was going to stream earlier, but he slept in a little bit. So
It happens. If he needs rest, he needs rest.
Yes, sometimes, as you say, sometimes it happens. I mean, it would have been great if Aldrin or Velocigirl, or even Lady and Two Swords was online, but hey, sometimes they're online, sometimes they're not. So, until next week, MJ Knight saying good night from the night.
night.
Take care, everyone.
Take it easy.